Third time's the charm. The New York Knicks cruise past the Orlando Magic. OG Anunoby was back and leading the way.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to the New York Knicks, coming off yet another win against the Orlando Magic. I am Gavin Schall. I am a New York City native and a credentialed media member that's been covering the Knicks for nearly a decade. He is Kris Pursiainen. He's an NBA reporter over at Clutch Points that has been a credentialed media member covering the Knicks for the last 4 years. And this is Locked On Knicks. I forgot what we were talking about for a sec. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day now, the number one sports podcast network in the entire world. And this is your daily podcast on the Knicks, giving you those detailed insight on your favorite team at least 5 days a week. We won 6 last week. So be sure to join thousands of other Knicks fans in subscribing on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform for the best insight on your favorite team every single day. It is the single best way you can help us grow the show. And we deeply appreciate it over here at Locked On Knicks. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, we got to get into a big game for Wingstop. OG Anunoby leading the way there, but I thought Josh Hart and Mikale Bridges were by and large excellent in this one. We will, of course, talk about Jalen Brunson cooking Jalen Suggs, ending the would-be rivalry, important injuries on both sides to Franz Wagner and Deuce McBride. And we'll finish up talking about my favorite nickname that I've come up with for Nick, Hucky Bear, Ariel Hukporti. I thought he really flashed in this one. But Kris, unless you want to start somewhere else, I'll always leave that option open to you. You were there yesterday. You got to enjoy this one in person. OG Anunoby, incredible in his second game back.
He looks fine. He is back. You know, I think they're always cautious with returning him. I don't know if that's him or the team. This year, the team's kind of playing it cautious with everyone. So, you know, maybe just nothing worth analysis there. But he's back, and he brings right away this element to the team of physicality. And even though he might not what was it? Matt Barnes? Was it Matt Barnes who said he should have slapped Desmond Bane? But he's like, no, I wouldn't have punched him, but like, you gotta slap him at least. It's like, what?
It was a light push. It was like a whoa, buddy kind of push.
So apparently you're supposed to slap him in the face to be tough and cool to Matt Barnes. So sorry. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's saving his money in a way that Matt Barnes isn't. So there's a trade-off there. Yeah, keep going.
So Anunoby leads by example when it comes to his physicality. And even though he's not going to get in fights with the other team, he will dunk the ball and get and ones and push the pace and transition and run out. And that's what he does. So it's good for the Knicks to have him back. Obviously, I think most importantly, because of the role correction for everyone else. We saw Deuce McBride, you know, my favorite pseudo OG guy in the league that, came into the starting lineup and kind of shifted Mikale Bridges into his perfect role. Well, now OG Anunoby is like the way better version of that. So Mikale Bridges, how can the Knicks learn from what they got out of Deuce and Mikale with OG? Because you don't want OG being Deuce. Like, Deuce can pretend to be OG. That is something that you can do if you're missing OG. But you're not going to have OG and be like, hey, go be Deuce McBride. So finding that balance of how can we deploy these guys, particularly with and without Robinson off the floor, to make sure that we're putting them in the best spots to succeed. Well, if you're the New York Knicks, I think you're happy with what you saw against the Orlando Magic. Gavin, I want to know what you think is this one of those situations where Josh Hart has to become like malleable, and now with OG back and Deuce to the bench, like Josh is the guy now that's saying with the starters that needs to kind of take that ball pressure role, or is he at his best when flying around, and doing stuff, as he likes to say, just running around and doing stuff, and you have OG guarding guys like Cade, like they did in the playoffs. You have Mikale free safety as opposed to, guarding Cade, Mikale chasing around Beasley or whoever it is. Like what stands out to you as like the alignment here? Because I always get stuck between wanting OG on the ball with Mikale and Josh running around headless for OG as the line of defense at the rim, particularly when Mitch is out. Is this just you got to play it lineup by lineup, or what would you do? What do you think here?
Yeah, I think it is so matchup dependent, and we've seen this kind of flexibility with Mike Brown, where like unlike Tom Thibodeau, he doesn't really pre-assign these roles for an entire season, saying, "All right, you're doing this the whole season, you're doing this the whole season." To me, it's the single best argument for starting Deuce McBride, even over all the shooting that he brings to the table, because I don't really have a good answer for you. Like there's just not, outside of OG, a great point of attack defender in the starting lineup. And I would frame OG, unless the quote unquote point guard is Cade Cunningham or Franz Wagner, maybe like in a game where Jalen Suggs was out, leading the way. Like unless it's a like-sized guy, I don't think OG's at his best. If you're asking him, like he can do it, he can chase around Jalen Suggs, he can chase around Tyrese Maxey. Like I just think the best use of him defensively is playing in the gaps, and like we saw like a myriad of examples of that. Like I think our buddy Benji Ridholtz compares it to like a fencer where he just darts in with that hand, and it's almost like he can transform it into like rock. Like when it shoots, because normally you would like break your fingers shooting in that fast on a ball when a player is doing like a live pickup. And he had one on Anthony Black in this game where he got a hand on it. Black said, "All right, bet I'm just going to do like a low pickup rip through." It's a move that Black is very good at. And OG literally was so strong. He just, with just his left hand, pinned it to the ground, stole the ball up to Kolek, push ahead to Mikale, swooping in for a lay. And then it gets complicated, right? Because I think Josh has been really good taking on more physical matchups. Like we saw him like battle his what off against Giannis and the Bucks. Like we've seen him. I think he was maybe guarding Scotty Barnes for some of that game against Toronto. I could be off about that, but in this game, like he was guarding Paolo, and he's a smart player. He learned something from how other teams are guarding him, and he just dared Paolo to shoot all night and like aggressively helped off him. And that proved to be like a brilliant strategy, because Paolo is like not quite up to full strength yet and was like super inefficient. He was 4 for 11 in this game. He shot 3 for 6 from 3. But I think that in part took Paolo out of a rhythm. And look, we say it all the time, but like Mikale is just not he does a lot of other stuff fantastically well. And I thought he had a really good game. Not an elite point of attack guy, because the screen navigation is so dicey at this point in his career. So that's a long-winded way of saying, I don't know if there's a permanent solution there. I just wanted to note a couple more things on OG before moving on. And like, to me, this is even like a further case for not having him on the ball. Like I mentioned last game, like literally the first play of the game, he alters the game as a low man. In this one, like it was maybe 3-4 plays in, there was a Bane Paolo pick and roll that Josh gets caught up in on top. OG rotates over. Paolo doesn't even want to try him at the rim. He says, I don't want that smoke. Swing to Franz. Franz drives. Mitch closes out, blows by him. OG's at the rim. Franz misses a dunk, and he could have made it. And it might have been a highlight on OG. But if it's like Jalen Brunson or Deuce McBride, which is what it's been with OG Anunoby out, like at the rim there, like that is a dunk every single time. And you see from just like the first few plays of the game, like it is just a completely different feel for the New York Knicks at the rim. And you lose that if you have OG on the ball.
Yeah, I think back to that Detroit series, and I think with like a Jumbo and Cade, like LaMelo, Cade, even like Franz Wagner, who
there's
we'll
a list
talk about
of guys
in a second. Like, there's a good amount of guys that I can't help but just think, just build a dam, just put your strongest line of defense right at the front, because if it's going to be Josh out there, then you can bring the best out of him by same thing with Julius Randle, right? Benji, who we shouted out earlier, used to talk about this all the time, which was like, you'll get the best out of Randle if you put Randle in situations where he has to run, no matter what. Like he looks really bad if he doesn't run, because if he's in motion, he's already moving. The hardest thing with him is getting him to run somewhere. If he's already running, you're fine. And so it's almost this like ass backwards way of like tricking a player into covering the most miles of anyone in the league. And Josh Hart doesn't need to be tricked into that. He does not need a carrot dangled in front of him. In fact, I think he needs to be restrained from running more and faster. So yeah, definitely. We'll talk about guys like Franz and everything on the other side, but I agree that it's situational, it's scheme-situational. It's something that is team by team, play by play, lineup by lineup. But all in all, when the Knicks acquired OG Anunoby, I was like, oh, they're going to do OG at the 4 and Randall at the 5 and be fine with OG being the rim protection. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that wasn't close enough to traditional rim protection for Thibodeau, unless in the playoffs he went OG at the 5 against Philadelphia. I'll forever credit him for that. I would have bet.
I was in the building. It was amazing.
I would have bet however much money that was just not ever going to happen, and I would have lost every penny of it because he played OG at the 5, and that was that respect, dude. But anyway, like I saw him so much as this weak side rim protector, and it's like, well, Mitchell Robinson is healthy. You can kind of just have him be a super duper Lou Dort, which is horrifying. Like that. Yeah. So there's something there.
Yeah, I've said it a bunch recently, but there's 3 great defenders in OG Anunoby, and I kind of trust how Mike Brown has chosen to deploy each of them at given times. When we come back, well, okay, all right, choose how he's choosing to deploy him each time. Is that wrong?
Oh no, you said. Oh,
yeah, I think I said choosing. I don't know.
I thought you went CHOOSEN.
Choosing. Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, we'll talk more about choosing. We'll talk more about grammar when we come back here on Locked On Knicks. But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today. Robinhood.com/yourmoney. And that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All right, what's up, guys? We're back here on Locked On Knicks. Let's talk the injuries real quick before I definitely want to circle back on the Wings and what they did offensively. I want to get into Jalen Brunson because I thought we take it for granted, but he was exceptional in this game, and of course Gershon and Ariel Hukporti. But I'll leave it to you to decide which one you want to talk about first. Obviously, Deuce McBride, the more pressing, immediate concern for the New York Knicks, presumably sprained. I believe it was his left ankle. I know x-rays were negative. We haven't gotten a definitive report on what that injury was, but I would expect him to be out for a little bit. Thought it was possibly a good sign. He stayed in to shoot his free throws, kind of half tried to get back on defense. It wasn't like an immediate no-brainer straight to the locker room, but we don't 100% know what's going on there. Franz Wagner looked like he suffered a potentially serious knee injury as we're recording this on Monday afternoon. Have not heard a definitive report on what that is yet, but it was a bummer on a number of levels. First of all, selfishly, Franz, one of my favorite players in the NBA. I was making a big bet on him being a top 15 guy in the league this year. I feel awful for Orlando Magic fans because they have just been cursed the last few years, like just getting tantalizing glimpses of what their big 3 and now big 4 with Bane can be together, and seemingly just never allowed to enjoy it for any sustained amount of time, which sucks. Like he is, to me, clearly the best player on that team. I think one of the 4 or 5 best players in the Eastern Conference. I'm sure I'm forgetting people who are making that mental in my head real quick, but he's special and changes their season if he's out for a long time, and frankly, like potentially changes the path to the Knicks this season if he's out for the year. Hopefully that's not the case. We haven't heard yet, but 2 monumental injuries in this game.
The point is that this is an injury that would like completely alter the tectonic plates in the Eastern Conference. Like if Franz Wagner does happen to miss even just a great part of the rest of the season, the rest of the East is breathing a sigh of relief exclusively because I don't know if Orlando has the depth to make the hyper-specialized version of their team between Bane and Banchero work. Like, you need tall shooters for a team like that to work. You need to go get like a Simone Fontecchio and a Duncan Robinson and a Lauri Markkanen and James Edwards tweeted yesterday, I've never seen Tristan da Silva be good in a game, which I thought was really funny because that is so harsh and brutal, but like also it's what he sees. You can't tell him he hasn't seen that. Yeah. But like he was someone who I really, really liked out of Colorado for this Orlando.
He's been good. He's shooting 37% from three this year. I don't know.
I like him, but. And if Franz was injured, could he start a playoff game? And it's like, that's not fair to him, right? So I just think the Magic are good. They're feisty. I think Desmond Bane was ruining a good thing for them yesterday by chucking a ball at OG because the Magic, like the Thunder, get away with a lot of fouls on defense exclusively because they're smart and good and hardworking and athletic and physical. It is a credit to them and their coaching staff. This is not a ref complaint. I tweeted this yesterday, and I was like, the Magic deserve so much credit for the fact that they don't get fouls called against them because they're all physical. And one of their fans was like, cry more, New York loser. And I was like, I am complimenting you. This is praise. But like that, you can't draw attention like that. I don't trust this team without Wagner. This is a team that New York would beat in the postseason, that Cleveland would beat in the postseason, that I could be talked into some other East teams beating in the postseason.
We haven't really seen it yet, but they started this game with him on Brunson. And Jalen just like problem solves. Like Dyson Daniels was giving him fits the first two games, and then he dropped like 38-40 on him the third time around. Like, so Jalen I trust that he would figure it out, but he was just staring down this 6'10", and like Fraud, dude, he's bulked up. So like he's huge at this point. And Jalen's just staring at him. He's like, this guy can move his feet too. I don't know if I want this. And he was like, I'll talk about it a little bit next segment. Like he was fantastic with some proactive passing in this game, even after getting switches, but there were like immediate screens, and the Knicks will do this anyways, right? Just to find him a good matchup, but he did not really want any part about going at Franz Wagner in this game. We saw Franz like had maybe the single best performance against the Knicks this year when Mike Brown put Mitchell Robinson on him early in the year.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And obviously like OG would have made such a difference. Like that was the final point I wanted to make on this. And I got sidetracked myself. This, like, I kept talking about this game as like not an inflection point, but like a solid data point.
A test.
100%, especially after losing the first two. Like those were two of like the games. Like if you wanted to be justified in your feeling of being like, yeah, this team needs to make a move for Giannis. Like they're not a championship contender. Like you would point to those first two Orlando games. I was really excited, even with Cat out. Like we should note, Cat didn't play, so the Knicks are missing their own star. But I was excited for the Knicks to like win a battle. And they started off this game really, really well, even when Franz was on the court. And we didn't get to see it play out, unfortunately. So get well soon, Franz Wagner. Deuce McBride, we have sung his praises a million times. Massive loss for the New York Knicks, even if it's only a week or two. Hopefully it is a quick turnaround with him. But Kris, we'll come back and let's finish up getting some more into individual guys in this one, because I thought there were a lot of standout performances for the New York Knicks. We'll talk about it in just a sec right here. First, we want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so incredibly exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. I've been advocating for it all year. The New York Giants have literally set a record for an aptitude at blowing 10-point leads. If the Giants build a big lead in the final weeks of the season, I think it's a pretty safe deal to put your money on the other side. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, Gavin, Schall, Kris, Pursiainen, back with you here on Locked On Knicks. Kris, who else stood out to you in this one? Because I feel like there were like a lot of individual performances in this game. We could dive deep on it. It was like a rare game where the other team didn't have their best player for most of it. It was fairly close down the stretch, right? The Knicks built up like a 16-point lead early in the fourth quarter. Orlando closed it, but always felt like the Knicks were in control in the second half, and a rare game where, like, I guess Mikale shot really badly now that I'm looking at the box score, but other than that, Deuce wasn't having his best shooting game. I guess Clarkson was okay. I can find people who played badly. My general feeling coming out of the game was that almost everyone who touched the floor for the Knicks played well. So who do you want to talk about?
I was gonna say Jordan Clarkson stood
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
And not necessarily because he was so great,
Sure.
but also because I do think there's more the Knicks can be doing to help him out here. So, and to help themselves out in turn.
Help me help you type deal.
Exactly. And by the way, just dropped as we're speaking that no RJ Barrett for the NBA Cup quarterfinal against the Knicks. That'll be on
Bummer.
Tuesday. So stinks. I was upset he missed the last one because I like seeing former Knicks return to the Garden, particularly ones that I think would want to, show out and then maybe prove a little something to a little someone. So this stinks. Would have liked to see him tomorrow. Jordan Clarkson played 17 minutes and scored 0 points. He did not make anything of any kind. There is not one time in the game where he sent the ball towards the basket and it came out at the bottom of the net. He did not take a free throw. He missed all 4 3-point attempts. He took 1 2-point attempt. He missed it. He had 2 turnovers. He had 1 personal foul. He was a +9 in his minutes, but that is the only number in green anywhere on his, on his color-coded proverbial box score. The Knicks, and I wrote about this recently for Clutch Points, I think Clarkson is really important to this team, whether they like it or not. And it's because no one is going to take their guy off the dribble and go isolate and score. Like that used to be a big thing in the NBA. Now, Mikal Bridges can do it. You see OG Anunoby do it at the end of shot clocks. Jalen Brunson's the guy. Karl Anthony Towns wants to go get a mismatch in the post. But Jordan Clarkson's kind of frenetic, chaotic energy that we've talked about is unique. And New York, outside of Brunson, doesn't really have someone who can go off script and have something better come out of it than they would have gotten, staying on script. And Will Hardy spoke about this before the game on last Friday against the Jazz, where he's like, you got to let Clarkson do his guitar solos, but 75% of the time, I try to have him play a song that everyone else knows and can play along to. But it's also essential to like, you're not getting the most out of him if you're not letting him cook, pretty much. Yeah. And when I see Jordan Clarkson 0 for 5, 0 for 4, 0 for 0, field goal, 3-point free throw, I think maybe there was a little too much free time in the kitchen. Like, can we, as a coaching staff, if you're the New York Knicks, can we get him downhill more? Can we use, now that OG Anunoby is back, can we use the physicality of someone like Anunoby or Towns that can now play more with this second unit? Like, something's got to give where Clarkson isn't left out to dry like this, because, and this is, the Knicks can do what they want, right? But if you're going to have a rotation spot taken up by a guy who is not a defender whatsoever to any extent, is active and has been, earning his stripes with Brown being active on the defensive end, but is not someone who's going to change the game on that side of the floor, he needs to be good on offense. And if you're not setting him up to be good on offense, then that's on you. So I do think the Knicks coaching staff can do more to get him going downhill. Before the game yesterday, I know he was making exactly 2/3 of his shots at the rim from within 5 feet of the basket. Let's do more of that, right? Let's get him driving more. Let's get him finishing and hanging and swinging and hand switching. And you can let him cook, just have it be at the rim, right? Yeah. And then he'll get some free throws and he'll see the ball go through the net. And then there's going to be 17 seconds on the shot clock. And he's going to cross someone up and take a step back 3. And maybe it'll go in because he's been feeling it and he's got some rhythm. And it's like, no, you don't need to change your entire approach as a team to make sure that this guy gets a couple extra tween hezzy split step back 3s. But also your bench unit needs offense, and that not just coming from whatever starter is staggered in there. So Gavin, do you agree that the Knicks could get Jordan Clarkson involved more, but it has to be intentional? Like, I'm not saying just throw him the rock and be like, hey, go do some stuff. Like, I want it to be intentional involvement with regard specifically to downhill touches and the rim pressure that he brings to this team. That's something we were hyping up before he put on the uniform, was this guy gets to the rim and he gets to the free throw line.
You got to find a way. Like he's like, even though he took 13 shots against the Jazz, I don't think he's played with an attacking mindset of late. That's obviously not something I can totally, outside of rim attempts, like it's hard free throw attempts, which he has not taken. He took 6 against the Jazz. Outside of that, he took a combined 3 in 8 of his last 9 games outside of those 6. So I think that's been missing, to your point. 5 assists against the Jazz in just a total blowout. So I disregard that to some extent. Like, the shot creation is the single biggest thing. Like, he had one really good play in this game where he like nashed it, like dribbled across the lane under the backboard, zipped it past the Deuce. Deuce made the extra to Brunson in the corner. And to me, like, that is the premise of why you want to have Jordan Clarkson. Like, you have him to give Jalen Brunson a break, both literally when Brunson's on the bench, but when Brunson's on the court, like, he's going to find a way to create an open 3 for Jalen Brunson. And there, early in the season, there were stretches where we got more of that. It just has not really been the case recently. You combine that, to your point, with him shooting terribly. Like, he has not shot better than 50% from the field in his last 6 games now. In the month of December, which is just 4 games, 28% from the field, 20% from 3, 71% from the line. I have his synergy stats pulled up. And to your point, like, I would like to see guys screen for him a little bit more and see what he can do playing out of that. It is not something that Mike Brown has totally leaned into. It is like 9% of his possessions on the year, which obviously is very few if you're the primary ball handler. He is not good in them. He's averaging just 0.73 points per possession, and he's a below average or average scorer in pretty much every play type outside of transition, where we've seen him shoot the 3 ball quite well, and cutting, where he's cut off Karl Anthony Towns really well. So I would test out that pick and roll ball handling number and see if it can improve with more reps, especially like setting screens with Deuce, setting screens with OG, like use different guys in conjunction with him. I think all of that can help him, because to your point, if he's not making shots and he's not creating shots, he doesn't just have no value. He actively has negative value on the court. And again, this is where Malcolm Brogdon retiring still looms somewhat large. So maybe Brogdon was washed. We don't know. But and some people watched him, said maybe we do know he was washed. But I think that type of player who's like a little bit sturdier and a better shooter and a better passer than Clarkson, like, just would have been a better fit. It's still time for Clarkson to turn it around. You noted his EPM earlier in the year, like, he was having a pretty positive offensive impact before this last stretch. I'm just going to finish up with like a couple of.
I was going to say, yeah. Can we do a 2-part wrap here? Part 1, Clarkson's free throw rate is like starkly down from last year, and you can read about that and more in the article. Part 2, Clarkson and the other bench guards are watching slowly a young pick and roll, short roll demon develop in front of their eyes in Ariel Hukporti. Gavin, would you like the stage to wax poetic about Mr. 5'5"?
Yeah, he didn't. I do want to talk about Hukporti. I wanted to quickly touch, just because I've really harped on Jalen Brunson about getting off the ball quickly, especially against better defenses. Like the Magic are such a good example of this, and I thought he struck such a great balance between being aggressive and getting off the ball. Like, all in the first quarter, he scored 16 points in the first quarter, right? Like, he wasn't bereft of shots or opportunities. He shot great. He was cooking Jalen Suggs to oblivion. That rivalry might be over. It might just be Jalen Brunson's now. Like, he's cooked him, I think, every time they've matched up this year. But like, early in this game, when teams were loading up against him, like, he recognized, like, he ran pick and roll with Mitch, started probing off it, and he saw Bane was not fully in his stance because Bane wanted to come over and help on Jalen. And Jalen, instead, like, of trying to attack, like, what would have been gap help, zips it over to Mikale. It's a tough closeout for Bane. Mikale goes right at him, hits a pull-up 2. Another one in a Spain pick and roll where Deuce pops and Jalen gets in the ball. Deuce, like, not open right away, so he throws it right back to Jalen. But Jalen recognizes, hey, Deuce, you got, I think it was oh my God, this is the second time this week I forgot his name, Wendell Carter Jr. On him. and he gets it right back to Deuce. And I immediately flash back to the Celtics series where he was encouraging Mikale Bridges. This was a worse matchup, but to go at Drew Holiday because he had a size advantage there. And like, I love those moments where Jalen's like, no, you have the advantage. I'm not going to bail us out every time. Go for it. And Deuce goes right at him and hits a mid-range jumper on him. There was another one where De Silva, heavy gap help off of Hart, hit Hart for a wing three. OG like got it to him off an offensive rebound, and he saw it was Goga on OG, and he said, "Great, you can attack that." Right back to OG. OG goes right at him, up and under layup. That was the only other thing I wanted to note on OG's too. Like I thought he looks really good athletically right now, like not just defensively, but had the up and under lay, 2 different baseline drives for dunks. Him, Mikale, and Josh, and also Kolek early in the fourth quarter combining in transition was consistently awesome. They had this beautiful passing sequence late in the game where Orlando blitzed Mikale at midcourt. He zips it to Josh. Josh ball fake to get De Silva to bail. Bounce pass to OG. OG drive. Drop off to Hukporti for a dunk under the rim. OG's interior passing was awesome. I thought Mikale and Josh's connected passing was awesome. Josh, shout out your guy Peter Patton, shooting the 3 super confidently. Orlando was daring him to shoot. And last time they played the Magic, that tanked the Knicks that they were daring him to shoot. And this time he made them. Or he attacked it and hit he hit 3 different mid-range jumpers in this game off the dribble. That was great. Real quick on Hukporti. Shout out Yabusele, who hit 2 threes. Shout out Mitchell Robinson, dominant on the offensive glass. Sorry, go ahead.
That was my dog.
Yeah. And Hukporti, the defense was amazing. Unfortunately, the first one was him injuring Franz unintentionally when he broke. It was an amazing play. He ran from the opposite block to catch up in transition to block up a lob to Franz. He was heartbroken about it. For any Magic fans wondering, those 2 are German national team teammates. So know each other, good relationship. That sucked. But he was incredible getting back in transition 2 different times. He sprinted back to swat Bane in transition. Shout out Jalen Brunson, by the way, getting back and buying him a second a couple different times. My only thing with Hukporti, and I'll let you finish on this. He needs to look to score when he's out there. Like that I think early in the season was part of Mike Brown's frustration with him. Like he had a play where he had Paolo caught up under the rim off a really nice pass by OG, pinned on his back under the rim. 1 power dribble, you go up for a dunk. Worst case should be you get fouled in that situation. He's big, he's powerful, he's athletic. I need him to start playing like it because everything else is there. The defense is there, the short roll passing's there. Like if he can find like that beast inside, he's going to be a difference maker for this team and someone who could play real minutes for them.
Yeah, I'll disagree, counter, whatever. Say I think the focus has got to be ensuring that you are controlling everything you can control against referees that might be looking to set the tone on your ass and show you early in your career that they do not plan on letting you get away with 16 years worth of illegal screens. So he's got to learn how to set a screen. And he's got to learn how to set a screen, whether it's moving or not, without getting called for it. And after that, we could talk about the rest. But as someone who gets to games early and likes to watch the young guys warm up with the coaching staff, that's Diawara, Hukporti, Kolek for the most part, and Pacome sometimes when he's not on assignment. And I will say Hukporti, the coaching staff really likes him, and they work on him with everything. They work on him with screening. They work with screening. They work with him on screening. They work with him on 3-point shooting. I had a video go viral of him launching up some threes. And I talked to one assistant who said he's been looking, even better recently since then. I have seen him doing, they'll have him out there just dunking nonstop, pretty much testing his pogo stick badge in 2K. And they like the kid. So it's exciting. And his short roll of reads are good. It reminds you of Ivica Zubac or another German lefty center that wears 55.
Hartenstein.
Half German lefty center that wears 55 that played for the New York Knicks at some point in their life is a small group of great accomplished young men. So Hukporti he's fun to have on the back burner, man. I think that's kind of the beauty of this all is the Knicks are not going to be defined by whether or not they can develop him successfully. But if they can, that makes the free agency a little easier, especially with Mitchell Robinson's deal expiring. It's not to say that Hukporti can replace him immediately, but you might get a bargain sub in, especially with this second apron, if that's the direction you need to go in, particularly if you plan on bringing in a player making a lot of money, say maybe more than $50 million per season.
Yeah, Well, we'll see if that one happens. He's Kris. Check out his article on Jordan Clarkson over at Clutch Points. I'm Gavin Schall. We'll talk to you soon on Locked On Knicks.